Hey Sean, it's Matt Rogers from my humble abode. If I turn around, behind my wall is where I used to live, which is pretty cool. But I was just doing my recording for our 10-minute reflection on both LTMS 615 and the LTMS program. To get started on the LTMS 615 network infrastructure and school district infrastructure course, this was probably the course that I was most worried about going into. I grew up with not a whole lot of integration in my own life of technology or even a whole lot of self interest to really understand how computers works or what have you. It's something I definitely came onto late into life, more so as that technology integrator. I was never building computers. I know I've said that before. I was never really tinkering with different things. I'm terrible at trying to fix certain problems, although I have improved through this program. But it was also definitely when I got into the classroom and realized what I really enjoyed about teaching was that technology. So this course specifically, looking at the infrastructure and looking at a school district plan, a school plan, and extending from there was both concerning but also something I was really excited about. So I really did enjoy this course. The way that it was structured between it started off very basic, which I think was really helpful, focusing on the layers and focusing on how things are broken down between bits and packages and segments, and also looking at the layers of layer one being the physical and pounding that idea of layer one physical, layer two MAC address, layer 3 IP address, those different things that I had to keep on thinking through to get the idea of what was really going on. And coming out of it, I have what I feel is a much better, not a perfect understanding, but a much better understanding of the internet and how it works and networking, along with how you would then plan for it. And while it's probably not the thing that I feel most strongly about through the program that I would jump at doing, it is something that I don't think I'd be so worried after this class if I were to be asked to contribute to a network plan in rebuilding an infrastructure or what have you. So the thing that I liked the most was probably the network final project. Part of it is using the district building that I'm moving into, so kind of interesting to evaluate it from a perspective other than here's my classroom that I need to get prepared for, and this is what I'm gonna do within the four walls of my room, looking at it as a whole building. And it almost helped gain familiarity. I was walking through the building and actually evaluating all the different setups, where different access points were, the way that it was labeled, all of the different drops. Really cool way to get oriented to a building that if I hadn't had this opportunity, I might have just walked down the stairs and over to my classroom, and that might have been the extent for a good long time of my familiarity with the building. So it was a in-depth project. Not that I have any issue with that, but there are so many components that you don't think about along the way. Every single adapter and the ports, and trying to get the idea, because I struggled with this for so long, the ports that lead into a switch and where the switch goes to, and differences between IDFs and MDFs. While I think he did a great job putting it out there, it did take a long time for me to understand, but that's more so on me, really committing myself. So at the end, the research of what the building needed and all of those different components was a really neat project that I will say that I'm glad that it's over with, but something that I think that I'll hold on to and really, well, obviously hold on to it, but I'll really reference and look back and appreciate down the line when trying to understand and have those conversations with the technology team and feeling like I have a break in the code, that I can kind of understand their language a little bit more, which is by far way more empowering. Not necessarily necessary as a regular everyday teacher, but something that's pretty cool that helps me stand out and feel comfortable having those conversations. So, like I said, I really enjoyed that class, and that kind of leads into the idea of the whole LTMS program in Harrisburg. I got into the program actually, not surprisingly, wanted to take a different master's program than the traditional reading specialist or continuing to get a master's in an area that I was already qualified to teach. And I wanted to have another outlet. I wanted to have somewhere else that I could go. And I actually went and talked to my superintendent about what he suggested as well. And he said, suggested a dynamic area that if I were to have the chance to be on an administrative team, that I could bring a certain sense of expertise to the table. So whether it was the reading specialist and just being a curriculum junkie, which I'm required to know, but I wouldn't say I'm as fluid with that as technology. And when I brought that up, he really suggested that heavily. So I ended up getting in contact with certain people that were in the programs and looked in a few and found Harrisburg actually by Ryan's suggestion, and was lucky enough to take 2 classes over the summer and catch up to where he had started. And the whole program, I've said this many times, probably not to anyone from Harrisburg, but to other people suggesting towards Harrisburg, while it was more than what our school district was willing to reimburse us for, it was a well worth it program. I felt like Andy and you and the other professors in my experience at HU did a great job of taking a focused perspective of what you could be required to do in any of the positions that this master's degree would afford you, between being the technology director for a district or a system engineer, kind of, with the most recent classes. But in addition, the visual and artistic aspects of design, and along with a formal paper and assessment that comes in every master's program, the instructional design was something that I felt like I was strong at coming in, but leaving the program, I feel so diversely afforded skills through this program that I feel confident that when I am ready to make the most of this degree, that there's a lot of areas that I could look at going into. And I went into the program thinking, I'll hold off and hold off and hold off, and it'll just be something in my back pocket. It's something that I want to teach for as long as I possibly can. And then when I get to that point, maybe I'll take advantage of this. But by that time, I might be into something else. I know that I'm not going to stop here. So at the end, 2.5, 3 years later, being complete in the next few days, kind of interesting because I have almost this cutoff time where I am going from the special ed perspective, which was heavily what my beginning of program focused around, to now this regular ed 4th grade classroom. I am almost as eager to start 4th grade as I am to start looking for other opportunities down the road. And certain things like through the time I've become a tech head in the building, with the tech minutes every day or every week, and being a resource to a bunch of the other teachers. For someone who's 27 years old, with 4.5 years of experience, and being looked to in a building as an expert, is an empowering thing that has helped me cover up some of those first year blues when you know you make a ton of mistakes. It's compensated by what I bring to the table. And a lot of that, I would say 98% of that is what Harrisburg's program has given me. And it's just the dedication myself of putting together quality work, but the professors going out of their way to push us in different ways that we never thought we could or would be interested in exploring. And I think every single time I went into a class going, I don't know how much that'll apply to me. By the end of the program, I'm thinking, man, I could really do that. I could be an instructional designer. I could be a technology integrator. I could see myself as a technology director with a little bit more training down the line. But every single thing, the program was so well-rounded that it might have given you a shallow perspective of what that job is, but enough that I can pinpoint and say, hey, someone comes up and says they want to hire me for this position. I feel at least now that I'm educated enough to make that decision, whereas opposed before the program, I would have said, sure, I'll give it a shot, and not known that I was underqualified, or go into it and say, sure, and go for it. And now I feel like I have the basis to get started, and where to look, and the people to contact, even with the professors and other people I've built this personal learning network through this program, to contact and really get suggestions and ways to go forward. So I've thoroughly enjoyed the program, and I think that it is a excellently crafted and well-rounded program. I know for you guys, you probably would prefer more students, but having 4 or 5 in a class, average size, has been very helpful for me and the professors, mostly Sean and Andy. But Sean, I know we've taken a bunch of courses. I took college courses before where I would have preferred a diverse instructor, but the comfort level of having Sean consistently over and over again, and also the consistency of Andy being there, has been very comforting, and definitely more of an advisor than a professor, which I look forward to keep in touch with both of them far after this class. So I can't say enough. I appreciate what you guys have done, specifically Sean, for me through the last few years. It's been truly a pleasure on my part, and I appreciate the suggestions and the late hour conversations and the frantic Skype calls, and when you're probably leaving to go in the parking lot, the dragging on conversations by the cars. Every aspect has been truly appreciated, and has made a very impactful difference in my teaching career and master's, but also myself, and trying to figure out where I want to be and who I want to be. So thank you so much for that, and I hope to keep in touch.